I don't know. Technology. Okay. So I was talking with Parzival, one of my ORX friends. Really smart. Very analytic mind. So I got distracted. I can always get distracted when, hold on, I want to show you. Monkey. All right. Okay. So if Parzival comes back, I'll continue the dialogue. One of my Ouroboros friends, part of our user group, I'm going to start using that term, user group. I think is better than community. Because what I realize is I don't like really being used as a user, but I like being a user in a user group who's, in collaboration with who's building the product, whether or not it's the developer or the entrepreneurial builder. For me, I really like the entrepreneurial builder archetype who also, so the entrepreneurial builder is someone that really understands like how to have a product and grow it methodically. Those people, in my experience in crypto, I've never seen like a long-term killer app or protocol or platform where the like inspirational leader, the one who's the founder, creator, inventor for the protocol, if they also don't know code and they're not a software engineer and they can't really develop smart contracts. So that's where I'm like, so anyway, that's why I really like Ouroboros, but I'm focused on Xara now. Xara is fun. Xara is like Kobe. Kobe's one of my puppies, right? He's a killer. Kobe's a killer. Yeah. He's a menace for a lot of the animals. We live in a pretty wild area. There's a lot of wild animals around here. There's like rabbits and chipmunks and squirrels and fox. He doesn't kill, but he likes chasing them a lot. And there's deer, there's black bears. When he was young, he's pretty big now, he's about 75 pounds. Retriever, chocolate lab, and pit bull mix. So, okay, Xara. Xara rules Pulsechain. Xara is our mascot. She's the mascot for a group of assets that were reviving and migrating over to Pulsechain. So it's Lotus, Eden. Those two on Ethereum are paired with Vault, so this will impact Vault. there hasn't been, and anybody who has Volt that wants to be on Pulsechain, there's a really good place for Volt on Pulsechain, in my opinion. And so the Xara plan, which is part of the Eros web, which is an LP web on Pulsechain that we built, it's a community initiative. It's just a migration of value into a liquidity web that has assets from Titan integrated with assets in LP from Pulsechain. And Xara is the mascot, maybe for the whole migration across the bridge. Probably Xara, she's like powerful enough to be the mascot for all the Titan protocols that really want to bridge over. But we're starting because she grew out of the Volt ecosystem, and we've adopted her to lead us over the Pulsechain bridge into Pulsechain. And so Xara is leading us over the bridge, and then she's going to be our principal diplomat. Xara is going to rule. She's going to rule with an iron fist, of course. Maybe not. Maybe she'll be soft, but I've seen some incarnations of Xara with some hardcore, like, long sword practice. So I wouldn't mess with Xara. Hey, Kobe. Kobe's like, he's like, shut up, human. So Xara is the mascot. She's the totem. She's the, archetypal leader for the migration of Titan value, not smart contracts. Maybe there might be some smart contracts that come over. Right now, it's just assets into an LP web paired with Pulsechain assets like Pulse and Bear and PDI. And UFO and others, right? And so Xara, so the plan is, like, we're starting with Lotus and Eden mostly because when I first heard about this idea, I thought, okay, I will experiment with it with the two build on Titan coins that I'm holding that I felt like were dead or close to dead, which is Lotus and Eden. No fault by anyone. Like, protocols, many hit bottoms, but the beauty of decentralized protocols, like how Lotus and Eden, were designed, is they are very scarce and they're just running on the blockchain. Lotus, Eden still has staking attached to it. Lotus, the staking contract, there was a bug, and so it messed with it. But what we've got now is Lotus as a meme coin, as a deflationary meme coin that becomes like a meme finance, because we're pairing it with strength. We're pairing Lotus and Eden with Eros, and Lotus and Eden with Titan and Lotus and Eden with other strength. And so we're buying low on Ethereum, or if we hold it, we're buying low, or we're deploying what we have into LP on Pulsechain. We're free to do it, and we're using the LP web that basically two people architected. One architected the Pulsechain side of it, and another architected the Titan side of it, and now we're melding them together, and we're going to start to demonstrate how we revive struggling tokens that need a new use case and a new marketplace, which is Pulsechain. And Pulsechain is happy. When I tell people, I was like, not everyone's happy to hear it, but a lot of people are happy to hear that we're migrating Titanx assets over to Pulsechain. They're like, really? Why are you doing that? And we say to get access to the Pulsechain bull market that's coming, because Pulsechain now has regulatory certainty and is not at risk, because Pulsechain has almost 50,000 decentralized validator nodes all over the planet. It's very censorship resistant compared to most. It's been built resiliently. Even though there is centralized ownership on the chain, I'm okay with that, at least for right, especially because the ownership is no longer targeted by regulatory agencies. That's huge, right? And so that's why Pulsechain, because then we get, so Titanx assets are leveraged on Ethereum, right? Which has struggled, and so Titanx assets have struggled, and so have Pulsechain assets. They're at bottoms. Like PTGC has outperformed the whole market on Pulsechain. Props to PTGC, and I feel thankful that Eros contract is a copy and paste with a few changes to how the 5% is deployed. There's no 5%, there's no percentage going to a DAO and treasury. There's no DAO and treasury. For PTGC, I like that we have a DAO and a treasury. And now that I understand UFO, I like that there's a DAO and a treasury, and it's like a managed protocol. I like that. Same with Ouroboros. You need managed protocols for like complicated blue chip. For like what we're building, Eros is fully decentralized. No one's in charge. You can build on it, you can transform it, and I think people will. But it's fully automated, revoke contract, and so it's just operating. It's buying and burning, and it's in the liquidity web. And the more that we build the web, it's got like 55 tokens in it, 40 of them from Titanx that we've bridged over. And now we're going to start filling in the liquidity, starting with Xara plan, which is Lotus, Eden, Vote will be impacted. And I think we'll see, I don't know who's it going to be, but I think we'll see other Build on Titanx tokens pairing with each other, right? And participating in collective effort to build liquidity pools and then be responsible stewards of those pools, right? Once we build a community liquidity pool, we want to be responsible stewards of the LP pool, right? And that means educating people about LP. How do you get in responsibly? How do you get out responsibly? How do you think about impermanent loss, or don't you care? And so the message for me is pair with what I have. If I'm going to buy anything, it's going to be to use what I have to buy something that I believe has value on Pulsechain, and work as a collective, as a team, and collaborate with other Titanx holders and with Pulsechain projects and holders, and collaborating in a ecosystem and a industry, and where like PvP, person versus person, like that's the MO, mostly because people haven't figured out yet how do you build aligned interest when people don't talk to each other, when people are anonymous with each other, where not everybody has equal access to understanding what's going on with code and what's really protected. And sometimes even with the best audits, like they're fragile systems, right? It's a very high risk, early stage tech financial space. is crypto. And those of us who are doing like DeFi, true DeFi, self-custody DeFi like this, we really have to look under the hood and see where we both can make money and do it with integrity, also not get wrecked, right? And so Xara, yeah, and I'm also excited because I don't know all the details, but I'm excited because Smoke, which launched initially on base. It's a build on Titan X. I think it was built on Uranus, I think, but I'm not sure. Built on Uranus on base with a fee. I'm not sure what it is. The builder is transforming that Smoke into a non-fee tax version of it. And I see that there's going to be a migration of that non-fee, non-tax Smoke token to Ethereum and Pulsechain. And what I'm looking forward to is to have Xara and Little Blunt. Little Blunt, I wish I had a blunt here. I don't really like real blunts. At least where I grew up, real blunts are ganja, weed, marijuana wrapped in like cigar and mini cigar skins. People don't realize, a lot of people don't realize that like a real blunt, street blunt, is tobacco and weed together. And I never really liked that combination. I don't like tobacco. Like Kobe and I like ganja a little bit. But yeah, and so Smoke is, 420 friendly, which I like. Even if I'm not smoking, I like people to have access to herbal herbal medicines, right? It's like anything in excess isn't good, but in balance, human experimentation is beautiful, especially with natural plants. Like I've grown marijuana here. I don't, I just have some seeds and I threw them into the ground. It's like, oh my, wow. Now I didn't harvest it because I don't know, but just because you don't need to. But I thought about it. I thought about making a cash crop. See, this is what I start thinking about when I think about pairing, when I think about like basically Rich Landon, who's I don't want to personalize this, but he definitely he's one of the architects of the Titan X side of the Eros web, and so I've learned a lot from how he's worked it, and he's keeping it very basic and really smart, I think, and because he's the builder of Smoke, that's why I'm seeing there's got to be a place for Smoke. And I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm happy that Xara and Little Blunt will be hanging out in a liquidity pair. I don't know when, but I'm happy about that. And that's an example of pairing with strength. So now that I'm thinking about it, let's say we integrate Smoke into the Xara plan. And this is the beauty. This is decentralized. It's sort of we're communicating through these sort of realms, right? Yeah, we're in Telegram groups, but and we talk to each other. And sometimes, like at least for me, especially in a decentralized community effort like this, it's really I'm just putting out my ideas. Other people are putting out their ideas, and then individuals take action. So I'm sort of putting out this idea that, oh, I can see now how the Xara plan includes Lotus, Eden. Now I saw Shaolin. I don't hold Shaolin, but anyone that does, I think Lotus, Eden, Shaolin, and these are all protocols that have really struggled, right? And then we pair them with strength, also at the lows, but we pair them with strength. That's what I learned from Rich. And everyone has their own definition of what's strength. And so that's why I'm like, oh, if I've got 3 tokens that have been struggling, but like Lotus and Eden have recovered, not fully, not to where they were, not dollar value, but they're 7 and 12x off their bottom, that's a recovery and not a lot of time, right? It doesn't take that much with low liquidity, relatively scarce assets. With people that are not selling, we're not bottoms. I'm not selling bottoms. I'm like, unless I need something, and if so, I'm not going to be selling Lotus and Eden $30 or whatever, or $100. But now it's worth more, right? And so the key is building deep liquidity pools with assets that are at lows and can grow together. And with smoke, first of all, I like that. It's a pure meme. Doesn't have a fee attached to it. It's a feeless meme. I like the meme. I like Lil Blunt. I think I'm gonna have to go get some 420 so that I can, participate in smoke fully. And I'm also looking forward. I'm thinking I need to think about it, but I'm thinking that there's a way to integrate smoke, and I'm sure the team will have all kinds of thoughts about how to do it. I'm mostly letting other people. I have what I have, and I'll bring it where. But I'm letting other people set up the webs because they're more experienced than me. Because I've never done this before. I've participated in LP. I've been a liquidity provider for years, but I've never set up a web before, and I'm really learning the tokening. I understand all the token economic schemes and all the yield generation schemes, and and how our bots, work with it. What I'm learning now is what we're calling poolonomics. Poolonomics. So, and I'm learning it. And so I'm going to keep on sharing it as I learn it. But it's basically, and I'm learning it from people who have been in the LP game a long time and understand the ARB bots and can plan out pools that are healthy pools and that take advantage of the price disparities that the ARB bots need to get to work, right? And so I think what we're going to see also, this is the other thing around poolonomics and our pools on the Pulsechain side. I think what we're going to see is price disparities between our build on Titanx tokens on Ethereum and Pulsechain, right? And then it provides ARB opportunities. And I think how it'll happen is because like the asset isn't actually bridged. If you look at the bridge wallets on the Pulsechain bridge, you'll see the assets that get bridged over, and they're actually held in the wallet, right? And so you can see what assets are being bridged, and what happens is they're put into the wallet, and then I think on the other side, they mint a new version of it, right? I don't know if it's really a wrap version. It's a new version of it that gets minted, and and then the asset that you brought in on the Ethereum side is held in the wallet. And so if you want to bridge back, you can bridge back out. You're not stuck. It's not a one-way bridge. It's a two-way bridge. And that's why we give thanks to this Richard Hart bridge, there's a lot of money that will get deployed in on Pulsechain, I do believe, but even though it's a slow bridge, it's a secure bridge, right? It doesn't seem to me the latest technology, but it is what it is, and it's working for us, and we're going to keep on using it. And in a way, it slows us down. It takes maybe 10 to 20 minutes to bridge an asset, but you can do 5 or 6 at a time. So the bridging process is one thing, and then on the Pulsechain side, it's about choosing, you know, the adventure of your choice, basically. Okay. And what I was saying is that I think what we're going to see is, because of the liquidity dynamics between Ethereum and Pulsechain, you're going to see price differentials. And then you'll see, I think, people trying to take advantage of ARB. But I think it'll be mostly the ARB bots, because the culture that we're building is not to, we're bridging the asset over to get access, exposure to the bull run, the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, however long this next altcoin cycle will last. We're going to be, and even beyond it, we're going to be really working the liquidity as opposed to buying and selling. No, the idea is not to buy and sell in the up market. The idea is to pair with strength, LP instead of buying and selling. And when I think things are euphoric, I start to dollar cost average out responsibly, maybe 3% every third day, for example. And if we build a culture of, responsible investors who are decentralized, and the culture just says, look, we're building an LP web. I'm holding the Eros token, which makes money, passive income, fee sharing. Like my Eros, a third of it is put to work, locked, right? And it's making money, passive income, fees in the form of Eros, which is deflationary. I think we're, 7 of the last 8 weeks we've been green, but it's really off the deep bottom. And I think what we're building is a liquidity web that's really going to burn a ton of Eros. And we also are going to enable technology that will burn a lot more Eros, but not only burn it, but to have utility, right? So the utility of Eros, the token, people don't realize, it's a PTGC clone. It's like PTGC. With PTGC, you hold it, stake it, you lock it, and you make passive income. And UFO, I realize, is basically their farm that pays rewards in PLS. Again, incentivizing like participation in a fee sharing protocol. Like, it's not a tax token, it's a fee sharing protocol, is PTGC and Eros, right? These are both fee sharing protocols. Props to the PTGC dev that designed all of this and continues to build and to be the, grounding, visionary for a blue chip on Pulsechain, maybe the first blue chip potential on Bluechain, especially because it aspires to be the blue chip index token. And I see it. It totally is. Nothing's perfect, but it's pretty close. And I like that Eros is a version of that, because then, even though people don't realize it, people think Eros is overvalued. In order to understand the value, you have to understand the actual tokens in circulation. And you also have to understand where much of the supply is. And you also have to understand that the Eros token is in some way backed by the whole liquidity web. Even though there are thin liquidity pools right now, they will get deeper. But the Eros token, everything burns Eros in the whole web, right? And so, yeah, so that's why I like Eros the token. But you can do the Xara plane without having Eros token. All you need is build on Titan X token that is at lows. And so if you don't have it, you can go buy it. If you understand this and you like this idea, if you don't do it. So if you have build on Titan X or anything you want to bridge, you want to get exposure to Pulsechain, come and learn. There are Telegram groups. There's an Eros Telegram group that has tons of audios, tons of education. Then there's an Eros crew Telegram group. Just come and say, I wanna come learn. I wanna figure this out. It's a very collaborative group. There are people like me that are just random investor users. There are developers, there are software engineers in that group who can advise and enable technology. There are builders who are entrepreneur builders who have built other protocols but have coins and like this idea. So it's a pretty good mixed group and very collaborative. And we are starting to facilitate over on Pulsechain a collaborative user group. It's a collaborative user group. It's a combination. Again, in true DeFi, the users, there's three groups that I see in true DeFi who are users. All use these protocols, smart contracts. First, the developers. The people that develop the smart contracts are users. All of them use it in different, even if they don't have a lot of coin, they're going to use the protocol, they're going to test it, okay, so the developers. The auditors will have to use it. So developers and auditors. The builders. What builder do you know who's an entrepreneur builder that doesn't know how to use his or her own protocol? All of them are users. And then investors, us. We're investors. I'm not afraid to tell people I'm investing my time, my energy, and my money, digital money, okay? I mean, programmable money, right? Blockchain-based money. That's why I like on-chain money personally. I like to have on and off-chain rails, but I also like to have boundaries. I like on-chain finance if I can. So, and that's one of the other reasons for Pulsechain, not just that it's undervalued and it's about to have a percentage of the capital flow, the fact that there's regulatory certainty and you see that, you know, the Pulsechain ETH reserves are number 2, right? That's like huge. And that's actually how the founder of Pulsechain designed it. And so it's been a journey to get here, but between all the backing and the capital tied up, you know, backing, and now that that's public, people are starting to ask, how did Pulsechain get there, right? So there is value. You may not believe it's going to be deployed. It's like backing. It's public. It's very powerful, just like people are like, who don't understand why the SEC, and that case didn't get settled, okay? That case got won, mostly because Richard Hart, I think, baited the regulators. I think he baited them. And he had power law firms in the US for a case that he knew he was going to win. And I think the reason why I don't know this, but once I saw how he was setting up this Pulsechain sacrifice, which was, it was a sacrifice, no expectation for a profit from the work of it. It was a contract. It was written there. And people that went in, they're like, why is it? I'm like, he's setting it up. So the sacrifice basically said, this is not a security. This is a sacrifice. The first one was for Pulsechain, was for freedom of movement, I think. I'm not sure. Freedom of assembly or freedom of movement or freedom of speech. The first one was free, and then Pulse X was freedom to transact, I think. Anyway, there was freedom to move and assemble and freedom to transact, I think. I just got bit. And so, and why am I talking about this? What I'm talking about is, this is why I'm migrating value back to Pulsechain, because I want access to an undervalued chain. Even though it's not perfect, it is more decentralized, it's more censorship resistant than most, it's more DeFi than most chains, and it's the number 2 ETH holder backing the asset, which is the chain, and there's like 50,000 global validators, just like little nodes all over holding up the chain. It's cheaper than Ethereum. I don't know if it's faster. It doesn't feel faster to me. But at this point, that's okay. It will get optimized. The tech will get invested in and optimized, I do believe, now that there's regulatory certainty and that assets can be deployed, right? So yeah, that's Xara. And Xara is going to rule Pulsechain, because like most blockchains and communities, they're imbalanced. They tend to reflect the visionary leader. And so Richard Hart, Titan X has Jake, like Luna had Do Kwon, Sonic has Andre, like AVAX has their guy, I forgot his name, like Base has this, right? There's always this sort of icon. You know, ETH has Vitalik. Even though people say it's decentralized, there's always an iconic leader for things that grow. Like Titan X grew fast, right? Surprised even the founder dev, like the adoption. You know, it created huge inflation early. It set up sort of some of the problems that we're addressing now, but it's fine. Titan X will be fine. You never know what the market, it killed it. It went from nothing to a lot, and then it deflated, right? It inflated, right? And it deflated. Well, now we have deflationary assets and we're deploying them to Pulsechain. And what was I saying about Pulsechain? I don't know. Oh, yeah, for this kind of project, and this is what I'm finding over there, and this is why, like, GIF, who's a gifted dev, builder, entrepreneur, and investor, really is the one who gave me the idea first. To when I asked him, like, and you can look, where I asked him, like, what's the biggest need? And I've heard him say this before, and with his experience and like having communities and communities turn on builders, and it's really hard to have a community, you know, especially in such a volatile market where the boundaries are so unclear, right? And so what he said was like facilitation of, like, I'm gonna reframe it like high integrity devs, builders, and investors, bringing people together on Pulsechain to innovate. I'm like, right on. That we can do. And so what I'm finding is that our bridging process, I thought this, that we can be diplomats and brand ambassadors of, like, Eros is actually the index token for all the build on Titanx protocols on Pulsechain. Just like PTGC is the index token for all of Pulsechain, Eros is the index token on Pulsechain for build on Titanx protocols. It's connected to all of them. Not all of them have deep pools yet. Only the ones will have deep pools. And the ones that don't have deep pools, they can stay there. It's still burning Eros, and people can come and they go. People are free in the web to come and go, right? But there will be concentrated pools where we come together, like the Xara plan, starting with Lotus and Eden and hopefully Shaolin and Smoke, and then we pair with the Titan X and the Pulsechain anchors. That's the Xara plan. Oh, I was going to say, right, why Xara is going to rule Pulsechain. Because she's feminine, right? That's why. And she's a warrior. And she's got lotus flowers. And she's got Eden Sanctuary. And like in Eden Sanctuary, like it's the year of the snake, right? There's snake in Sanctuary, Eden, right? And so Xara has it all. And she's just a creation. She's an artistic creation. I didn't create her, but I'm going to deploy her. And I'm going to help her to rule Pulsechain with a benevolent kind of ruling that is more collaborative than like alpha. No, like Xara doesn't need to be the alpha, man. She's the princess and the queen and the freaking, goddess all in one. Okay. She does have a sword, but she's also very feminine. And and that's what much of decentralized finance needs, is more of an integration of the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang, right? People like to talk about yin and the yang. A lot of guys like to talk about yin and yang and don't understand that it's an integration of polarities, right? It's a unification and an integration. And typically it's just insecure men and insecure boys who are afraid to integrate. It's not that anyone who's a man with chromosomal contribution has a feminine sort of chromosome, bottom line, and denying it. And I can be hardcore guy, right? And also integrate feminine and masculine in 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 uh in relationship, in creation, in enterprise, right? We find when we do that yin yang thing and not be so, it's like one of my martial arts teachers, Master Chu used to teach about this, but not in terms of masculine and feminine, but he did break it down. It's like polarities. It's the energy of yin yang. It's like this hardcore, aggressive, masculine, like, it's ripping. He used to say, you actually, this is another teacher. He used to say, so tiger, he would say, tiger hits with the palm and rips. And so that's why in like Shaolin style, the tiger like that and rips, right? So that's like the masculine. So think about it. The feminine is this. And this is like martial arts style, masculine, feminine. Okay. And you may not know it, but this is in my Shaolin system, it's the ultimate killer is a feminine crane. All right. The feminine crane, like, is a crazy killer. because she's very protective of the little ones with her beak. And the guy cranes can be hardcore aggressive with the beak too. And so if you ever see both the love dances and the fights, around the little ones that the cranes have, and so it's like this, and then this is crane beak. This is crane beak. So the crane goes like this, very feminine, and it's very receptive like this, but she'll kill you, right? And so so the thing is, what we learn in martial arts is a yin yang where it's just energetic differences as opposed to gender. This isn't a fucking masculine, pardon the language, masculine, feminine isn't about gender. Okay, get over it. It's about energies. It's right, get over that. It's not about gender. This is like the integration of yin and yang, positive and energetic currencies, right? And this like very aggressive outward energy and very receptive energy, right? And so yeah, and that's why Xara is going to rule Pulsechain, because Pulsechain, like all of these other male dominated hyper alpha focused, are very imbalanced, which makes them very unsustainable. People don't realize how protocols and chains burn out. They die because you can't sustain that one piece of unified energy. All teams, all enterprises, consciously or unconsciously, need to integrate these things. So that's why Xara is an injection, especially as we start building a coalition of aligned interests. It's not going to control anything. It's just going to convene people. Like in real life, I've learned you convene people by feeding them. I learned in war zones, literal and metaphorical war zones, that if you have to convene people, you bring food. You bring food and you break bread. Even warring parties can break bread. It's amazing. And I used to be one of those people that was responsible for making sure that before you got into the food circle, everyone got rid of their weapons, all weapons. This is one of the rules, right? If you're going to do this, you can't bring weapons into breaking bread, right? Same thing in crypto. You can't break bread on these silly streams, but that's how we do it. That's how we roll. It's digital, it's remote. A lot of people are anon. That's how we do it. It's weird, but it is how it is. So you don't really break bread in real life, especially in true DeFi. There is it's all digital and decentralized. But that doesn't mean you can't hear voice and trust words and make arrangements and deals. No, you can do that. And you can use smart contracts for it too. How long have I gone here? I have no idea. Oh, 48 minutes. That's too long, man. All right. So, yeah, so Xara, so we're going to be collaborative. We're going to be facilitative. And we're really going to uplift high integrity devs, builders, investors, and curious others through education and dialogue, and making matches, like maybe a matchmaking service, right? For developers who have something to offer to a community that needs something. Like, we're that kind of thing. I'm doing this for us, right? It started with me going to get a technologist because I knew we needed a tech, at least one, but we're growing the network slowly. That's what happens. You start to grow with, right? So I went and got GIF. I went into, why? Because Pulsar. Pulsar is part of this plan. Pulsar's already on Pulsechain. Pulsar's set up. Pulsar's, and all it needs is what's next. Part of this revival I don't know what that looks like, but it's part of the reason why when I was thinking about who do I go to get tech guidance on the contract, the Eros contract, and on like how we use technology. Simple, no heavy bills, no new money, simple. Use simple technology, websites with, blockchain on the back end, LP manager kind of stuff. So I went and got GIF. I just went into the Pulsar group and I said, hey, let's talk. And he came and visited our Telegram. We started dialoguing, and it's led to where we are now, which is amazing. And so, yeah, so Xara is going to be the convener of the Eros network, which is connected to the Eros web, but really is designed to facilitate dialogue and then collaborations. And it can be a forum for people to talk to each other, listen to each other, share what they're up to, get feedback, get ideas, and make connections in the decentralized world. And then, it becomes a magnet. So it's not that the feminine is the only inviting energy. Like masculine can definitely invite. It's powerful. Right? It's just good to have Xara integrating and sort of lubricating the like hyperkinetic negativity that guys are in when, I and I feel wrecked, or I and I feel hurt, or I and I feel stupid, or I and I feel like whatever, right? That's just chimpanzee behavior, man. And I was over talking to one of these communities in Pulsechain yesterday, and they were like, I was like, look, I'm just telling you, the culture of Pulsechain is like, it's like your protocol is amazing, but the culture right now, when people look at it, he was like, that's bullshit. And I really like and respect this guy, but he's like, that's bullshit, man. It's bad over inside. It's bad over there. It's bad. I was like, nah, no. Pulsechain has its own style of bad. Trust me. It's very different. It's like the Wild West of bad. He compared it to Sonic or Ethereum. I was like, it's different. Like, it's different when everything's different. In Pulsechain, there is a special kind of like madness in the culture because the top leader has been targeted for 2 years. First by the SEC and then by Interpol. We don't know what Richard Hart and this protocol and platform would have done if for 2 or for years. And that's why I actually think he saw it coming. I also think he wanted to challenge the system and say, no, I'm free to write software. I'm free to put it on the blockchain. I'm free to do this. And by the way, I'm doing the sacrifice. I've set it up. I've gotten legal advice. And that's why I think he baited them. I didn't like it. I saw it years ago. I told my friends that sacrifice, I said, look, I'm going to do this just because I'm hoping they don't go after him, but I think they're going to go after him. And they did. And so it is what it is. I do believe Richard Hart baited them. I think he knew that he set it up to protect himself, and he set it up right. When I read everything as a lawyer reading that, I was like, oh, he's setting, it's like, it's an agreement that I made. I was like, oh, this is for freedom of speech. Do you believe it? I was like, yes, man. Freedom of transaction. Hell yes. Freedom of movement. Absolutely. Are you willing to expect no profit from the work of anybody, but you're sending your sac? I was like, totally. I let it go. And I did. That's why I have zero expectation for that capital. None. I was hopeful, but not attached to it at all. And nobody in my group, I told everybody, look, high regulatory risk, high founder risk, right? So, but now we've got capital backing it. How it gets deployed is a mystery, but capital backing it, I'm okay with the mystery. And we've got regulatory certainty. And with the capital inflows in the global capital markets into Ethereum, it's huge. It's off the charts. Sonic is number two after, the inflows right now of capital is coming into Ethereum. It's way off the charts. And Pulsechain has been bleeding capital, but if you look at the bridge, and including what we're doing, it's bringing capital back to Pulsechain, right? And I think that's going to increase exponentially. And then that's where we start to work on the network effect of Pulsechain. And I guess what I'm saying is our contribution to that is bringing alpha assets, very masculine, alpha deflationary DeFi assets, very masculine. Like Titanx is it's like dragons and big bulls, and it's all this macho, right? Which is cool. I'm there. I can get bullish. I'm fucking bullish. Inferno Bull on Pulsechain is gonna kill it. I'm macho too, man. I'm like macho man. Trust me, I would take you out. Or I'm not saying that. Forget it. I wouldn't take you. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to threaten anybody. I used to. I used to have to threaten people, but now I don't. So I don't want to. But so we're bringing this very masculine thing, but we're softening it with Xara and Smoke and Eros and Lotus and Eden. You see how soft that is? You see Lotus and Eden and Smoke is the mediator, right? That's why a lot of guys like to smoke ganja, right? Not just guys, women too. It's just it's one of the medicinals that, particularly in the hyperkinetic technology world, it sort of, people that don't know that the psychoactive in cannabis is cannabinoids, and we create it naturally when we tap into our primordial brain and we free up the stress reaction. We create cannabinoids. That's crazy. It's why I think so many humans are hungry for cannabinoids, because we create it naturally when we're at one with nature, and when we get out of the modern technological mind and into the primordial brain and the pineal glands and the hormonal systems. When we get homeostasis in this part of the body, right, this whole part of the body, when we create hormonal balance through breath and discipline, it's like breath and mind, not control, but mind shaping. When we do that, for me personally, I release cannabinoids almost every morning naturally. That's why, when I do my breathing practice, my martial arts or Wim Hof or yogic breathing, sometimes I release cannabinoids every morning. So I'm high on my own supply of breathing every morning. That's why people that want to get off smoking, a lot of people, when it's so accessible, it's easy. And so, at least here it is. And so when people, it's like anything, when we do anything not in natural rhythms and not as using the sacred herb wisely, and but humans have used, herbs and psychoactive medicines for eons, and I don't believe there's anything wrong with them. It's like anything when we use them in balance and in a good way. It's our relationship with these things. A lot of people come to me and say, "How do I stop smoking weed?" And just because people ask me, and I say, "Well, you have to learn." Basically, in order to get rid of one brain or body addiction, you replace it with something else. Right. In this case, the beauty is you just, like, for example, replace smoking with the breath. That's like the kind of breathing that can release cannabinoids so that, like, people that do that kind of breathing have no interest or need to smoke a cannabinoid because you're already feeling the euphoria or whatever the cannabinoid does to the brain. It just floods it with the natural cannabinoid, right? And that's the beauty of smoke is that I can teach about cannabinoids. And I only know this because I grew up in New York. And New York, like, ganja is like embedded into the culture, right? As a 12-year-old, I was in maybe 13, I was in Central Park and someone handed me weed, you know. I said no for I think 3 or 4 years because I was playing a lot of sports and I was afraid to get in trouble. And but I remember at some point I was like, I was in a safe situation and I was like, all right, you know. So yeah, Xara rules Pulsechain, and smoke, little blunt, is going to help us to spread the love and to just bring a little bit more collaboration and inspiration and less of the PvP, dog eat dog, like pump and dump, and more like education. How do we make money using positive technology? All right. Peace out, y'all. Have a great day.